Hey friends, and happy Thursday. This week I want to talk all about the art of letting go, which I have probably mentioned so many times on this podcast, the importance of letting go of the old version of yourself so that you can truly become the new version of yourself. This will be the last episode in the Reinvention Diaries, this short series that I started on this channel to kind of prompt your reinvention era, this moment of time, this transitional period to really push us towards that, as I have been undergoing a huge transition in my life. If you are too, welcome to it. I'm happy you joined in on this series. Let's get into it. I have mentioned so many times how ruminating keeps you stuck, and keeping yourself in the same environment, around the same people, and even in the same headspace, the same mentality that you were previously in is actually blocking your ability to move forward or to have kind of a new life for yourself, to create a new version of yourself. And I talk a lot about exploring opportunities and exploring different sides of yourself that you want to nurture. And I think with that, in order to explore all of these different versions of yourself and to constantly redefine who you are, you have to be okay with letting go of who you currently are or who you were in the past. I've noticed this pattern in so many different people, is that they are so afraid of letting go, but they think that they can hold on to whatever they have or whatever they used to have and still welcome in something new, a big blessing or success or a new version of themselves. But I think the people who are most successful in life are not afraid of letting go. They're not ruminating constantly on any negativity or the person that they are trying to grow up from or change. If you want change in your life, the only way to welcome in change is to be okay with things changing. And things changing means that maybe you're in a new environment and it's uncomfortable and it's not familiar anymore, and you needed to get out of your hometown or an environment that broke you or an environment that is stagnant and stale. Maybe it means that your are friends that are further perpetuating the idea of stuckness, in the way that maybe they party all the time, and because you love them so much and you party with them, but that's the only thing you really do, or their bad habits are affecting yours. Maybe they are super lazy or they're not very ambitious, but in your mind you know that you are, but when you're around them they're rubbing off on you. Being okay with accepting loss is so essential to moving forward, and I think that is something I have struggled with a lot in my life and I'm still working on, is the art of letting go and saying goodbye to things, saying goodbye to parts of myself, saying goodbye to friends, environments, whatever the case may be. And I think this point in my life right now is so important that I accept the transience of all things. I've always gone by kind of the quote or mantra that all things are temporary. You could rephrase that however you would like. But I have always been extremely aware of how temporary everything in life is, for better or for worse. And at times, it feels like I cannot find my footing because I'm constantly moving around. I'm constantly looking for more, for better, to do more, to be more, to find more opportunity, to go more places, to meet more people. And sometimes when you're constantly on the move and constantly trying to level up in some way, it becomes like you're losing yourself in the process and you cannot find your footing. So I've struggled with kind of applying pressure in my life for things not to change or for things to stay the way they are. And I noticed that the more I resisted change, the more force the more that change was forced upon me, and it actually made things worse long term, rather than kind of just accepting that things are changing and going with the flow of life and welcoming the change into my life. Like I said, I am someone who is always adapting, always moving around, always looking for more, for better, whatever. But up until really lately, I have still held such a resistance to the change. And it took a while for me to kind of clock that in myself, because I always thought, like, no, I'm so adaptable and I'm so okay with it. But I really noticed that I was having an issue with change when I was so hell bent on keeping the job that I was so miserable. And at first, I loved it. It was so much fun. And I've talked about this a couple different times in a couple different episodes now. So if you follow along with this podcast, you have probably heard me speak on this a little bit. But I was in love with my job as a flight attendant for a while, until it started to feel like I don't want to go into detail, but I just did not feel in alignment with myself and who I wanted to become in the future. But I was so stuck on forcing it to be perfect for me. Like, I just wanted to hold on to it because I dreamed of it for so long, and I thought, oh, this is really me. This is who I want to be. But it was who I wanted to be in the past tense. But it was no longer who I want to be in the present tense and the future. So I had to really like reflect on that and realize that just because everyone who gave me advice, everyone who I spoke to about this, everyone pretty much said, why would you not stay? And gave me X, Y, and Z reasons. There was a lot of commentary on, okay, but you should really just stick around because in the future it'll be so good and whatever. And some people think you better than you know you. Whatever the case may have been, a lot of the commentary was like out of the good of their heart. Like, they were trying to say what's best and look out for me, whatever. But I'm just saying, even though that was an incredible opportunity, an incredible job, it was my dream job, and it's a dream job for people all over the world. People dream and romanticize that job. Even though that's the case, I don't need to hold on to something just because the idealized version of it was so good and so incredible. Like, it's okay to let something go, even if it seems like I'm never going to get this opportunity again. Sometimes when you're so stuck on, oh, I'm never going to get this opportunity again, so I have to like really milk it and squeeze everything out of it, you're forcing it. You're forcing it, babe. Same thing when I lived in New Jersey and I had dreamed of living in New York City my entire life. Like, being a writer in New York City is like, it's always been like a tangible dream of mine. Like, I feel like it's so close I can touch it. So when I moved to New Jersey, I was like, I'm almost there. I'm almost into New York City. I just have to hold on to this a little longer. I just have to push through. But that environment was draining the life out of me. It was draining me so bad. I felt like I no longer recognized who I was. And when that happens, and one day you notice, like, oh my gosh, I am headed towards a path I'm not proud of and a person I'm not proud of, you have to make a change instantly. And it was then that I realized, if I don't move or go back home, I am going to be so, like, I don't even know. Like, it just was, it was a dead end. It was the end of the road. And the quicker you realize that and say goodbye, the easier it is to keep moving forward towards your actual dream. But all my energy was spent on, like, I'm so miserable and I hate it here and I don't want to be here. And yes, I did not want to move back home either. But recognizing that this setback, as I talked in my last episode in this series, was that recognizing that this setback and moving back home for a little while is going to allow me one day to move to New York City to fulfill my dreams. But if I just kept squeezing and squeezing and squeezing this dream out of, oh, I'm living in New Jersey, like I can see New York City, it's right there. But it wasn't working. And I think the sooner that you can realize this is not this is no longer working, let's get up and move, let's pivot. The quicker that you can keep pivoting in life, the quicker that you will have the things that you actually want, instead of forcing the things that you don't want to turn into the things that you want. Life does not shapeshift. Something does not get created out of nothing. You're not going to force the person you're dating to all of a sudden be your dream person just because you like them enough and you're close enough to marriage. Well, you can't force this boyfriend of yours to be your dream man just because you have a boyfriend and kind of envision a marriage. It doesn't mean that they're going to shapeshift into this perfection. Same thing with circumstances. Circumstantially, you cannot force your circumstances to all of a sudden be perfect because you can visualize it and you're almost there and it's right there. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you have to just pivot, start over, start from scratch, bury it, tear it up, and build back up from the ground. And that's okay, because the quicker you can do that and recognize and let go and say goodbye, the better off you will be. And that has been a hard pill for me to swallow, is realizing that my life is going to unfold and work out better for me if I move back, pivot, and try again, rather it is than keep beating the dead horse or whatever. Like, if I'm gonna nail something into my wall, it's only gonna go so far, okay? I needed a different nail or a different spot on the wall or something. But if I just stayed in New Jersey and only ruminated on how much I wish I could be this or wish I could be there or whatever the case may be, I would just keep hitting the hammer in the exact same spot. Nothing would be changing. I'm just like banging the hammer into nothing. And the more that you keep banging the hammer into nothing, the more that you are draining your energy and feeling like a doormat and feeling like a failure and whatever. Just keep moving. Just keep redefining who you are and keep learning how to be okay with loss, because I will reiterate the point that the quicker you become okay with letting go and loss on a small scale, the easier and the better your life will be. The more that you can optimize your life and really live to the fullest and take charge of every opportunity. Like, if something doesn't work for you, let it go. That's why in manifestation techniques and in life, people talk so much about the importance of detachment and being detached from the outcome. But I was so attached and holding on to things for dear life. That doesn't work. But when I became detached and stopped letting my emotions get so in control and what was supposed to be, what I thought should have been, as soon as I let go of all of that judgment and assumptions and bull crap, the easier it was to just accept things as they are and move on. Practicing radical acceptance into my life has changed my life because, like I have said before, some things don't need so many emotions tied to them. Not everything needs a big emotional output tied to it. Some things in life are better off when you just accept them as they are. Just accept things as they are. Yeah, it can suck. Okay, practice radical acceptance. It just is what it is. Some things, when I just think of them from a neutral standpoint and remove some pressure, it flows so much easier. The water's going to flow through the drain so much easier than if I were to like stick a plug or stick something in it and clog it up because my mind is getting in the way. My mind getting in the way of action is just further causing more resistance, and it's making you stuck. And it's making things take much longer when your head is getting in the way and when you're getting in the way of yourself. Just let things flow through you, for you, flow to you. That's what I am currently practicing, is just letting go of the version of myself I was when I thought I was who I was meant to be. I'm letting go of that because the more even when it came to training for a marathon, I was so fit. I was so active. I was so disciplined. And I'm still active and disciplined, but I'm redefining what that looks like in my day-to-day life as I'm not training for anything, instead of holding on to, oh, I miss looking like that. I miss being able to run 15 miles. I miss doing that, and holding on to all of that stuff over the summer and into the fall. That was what was keeping me stuck from actually going outside and running. That's what was keeping me stuck from actually taking action towards my life, is holding on to who I wish I still was. But the thing is, I will never be that person again. I have to redefine and re-infiltrate those practices back into my life in a new time period and in a new way. So the more that you can recognize that becoming new means change and means letting go, the better things will be for you. And now I'm running practically every day, and I'm building my base back up, and I'm watching my miles go back up on my watch, and I'm feeling proud, and I'm feeling excited for running again, because I've let go of the old version of myself. I've practiced radical acceptance that I am no longer that person. And that is okay. That doesn't make me less. That doesn't mean I failed. That doesn't mean whatever. It means that I'm redefining how to bring those traits and those habits and those things into my life in a different way. And in a way that is more optimal and more aligned with myself and my life and my goals and what I want now. Because what I want now wasn't what I wanted then. The only thing I cared about when I was training for my marathon was running the darn marathon, finishing it. I also just really wanted to be like skinny and cute, like a runner. But now my goals are practicing health and balance and well-being and working towards other goals and dreams in my life. So figuring out where my priorities lie and recognizing that my priorities have changed is allowing me to accept where I am and let go of who I was. And I hope that sentiment was helpful for you, because perhaps you need to accept where you are and let go of who you were. I hope you enjoyed this last episode of the Reinvent Diaries, this short series I created on my podcast, Reinvent and Rediscover. We talk here every Thursday about all things transitioning, becoming the best version of yourself, clocking your weaknesses, and turning them into strengths. And if you liked this episode, from whether or not you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, any podcast streaming service, I appreciate you. I hope you leave a like, a comment, share it with somebody who needs to learn how to let go of things. And until then, I'll see you in the next episode of Reinvent and Rediscover. Live passionately. Bye.